Look up at the sky for 30 seconds. Really look. Find the clouds with the wrong shapes. The one that looks like a face. The one that looks like an animal. The one that looks like something enormous staring back. You'll find one. You always do. Now here's what nobody tells you about that experience. The face isn't there. You know the face isn't there. And your brain still sees it, still registers it as a face, still, for a fraction of a second, treats it like something that might look back. That's not a quirk. That's not imagination running idle. That is one of the oldest survival systems in the human brain running at full power, right now, in broad daylight, 300,000 years after it was built. And that same system, the one making you see faces in random shapes, is the same system that built every religion in human history. Not metaphorically, mechanically. The same cognitive feature, the same brain region, the same evolutionary logic, different outputs. No culture has ever existed without gods. Not one. Anthropologists have documented thousands of human societies across every continent, every climate, every century of recorded history. Every single group invented supernatural beings. Every single group sensed invisible presences. Every single group believed something was watching. Wolves don't do this. Chimpanzees, our closest relatives, show no evidence of it. Dolphins don't. Elephants don't. You can go down the entire list of intelligent social animals, and none of them built temples, conducted rituals, or prayed before a hunt. Humans always have. So why? The answer isn't faith. It isn't culture. It isn't upbringing. The answer is a feature the human brain developed roughly 40,000 years ago, possibly earlier, that had nothing to do with religion at all, and it produced gods as a side effect. To understand how this happened, you have to understand what the world looked like before any of this existed. Picture a human living 50,000 years ago. Small group, maybe 30 people, no written language, no agriculture, no permanent shelter. Every day is a version of the same problem. Stay alive long enough to do it again tomorrow. The most dangerous thing in that world isn't starvation. It isn't cold. The most dangerous thing is something you don't notice in time. A predator in the grass. A rival human group moving through the trees. Something moving toward you in the dark before the fire catches it. Missing a real threat meant death. Detecting a false threat meant nothing. You get startled. Your heart races. You climb a tree that didn't need climbing. And here is the evolutionary logic that changed everything. A brain that assumed a rustle in the grass was a predator and was wrong, survived to pass on its genes. A brain that assumed the rustle was nothing and was wrong did not. Over thousands of generations, evolution filtered out the cautious brains, the brains that over-detected, the brains that found patterns in noise, faces in shadows, intentions behind events. Scientists call this feature face pareidolia when it concerns faces specifically, but the broader mechanism is called agency detection. The brain's automatic tendency to assume that any unexplained event was caused by something with intentions behind it. The key word is automatic. You don't decide to do this. You can't turn it off. It happens before conscious thought begins. Now here's where things get complicated. Agency detection evolved to find real agents, predators, enemies, other humans. It was calibrated for a world full of things that actually could intend to hurt you. And it worked. But the brain that evolved this feature couldn't distinguish between a leopard rustling the grass and the wind rustling the grass. It couldn't afford to. So it treated both the same way. Fire the signal, assume intention, react. And then something unexpected happened. That same system started firing at things with no agent behind them at all. A sudden flash of lightning. A river that flooded without warning. A disease that moved through the camp and killed 3 people in a week. A drought that lasted until everyone was starving. None of these events had a cause with intentions behind it, but the brain couldn't find one, and it was built to assume one existed. So it invented one. Not deliberately, not as a decision. The brain generated an agent the same way it generates a face in a cloud, automatically, reflexively, before language or conscious thought could override it. That invisible agent, felt rather than seen, sensed rather than proven, is the oldest form of God in human history. Not a theology, not a doctrine, a perception. The brain noticing something it was built to notice, even when nothing is there. This sounds like philosophy. It isn't. Researchers have actually measured this. In a landmark series of experiments at Yale University, psychologist Paul Bloom and his colleague Konika Banerjee demonstrated that children as young as 3 years old spontaneously attribute intention to random events before religious instruction, before they have the vocabulary to describe supernatural agents, before anyone has taught them what a god is. They describe a ball rolling off a table as wanting to fall. They describe weather as doing things on purpose. They treat unexplained events as if something caused them intentionally. Bloom's conclusion was direct. Humans are not blank slates who learn to believe in gods. They are born with cognitive machinery that generates the concept of invisible intentional agents almost automatically. Religion doesn't create this tendency. It inherits it. But it doesn't stop there, because the brain didn't just generate invisible agents, it also generated faces for them. Think about what that actually means. The same neural circuitry that sees a human face in a cloud also sees a divine presence in an eclipse, a spirit in a dying fire, a god's hand in a flood that kills 100 people. The face detection system and the agent detection system run on the same hardware. They produce the same output, something with a face, with intentions, with eyes that see you back. And once the brain generates a face with intentions, a second system activates. Theory of mind. The ability to model what that face is thinking, wanting, feeling. Other humans developed theory of mind to read each other, to predict behavior, to cooperate or compete. But the same system runs on imaginary agents as easily as real ones. So ancient humans didn't just sense invisible presences, they started modeling them. What does it want? What will make it stop? What did we do to anger it? The rituals emerged from that question. Your brain genuinely cannot tell the difference between a face in the clouds and a god. It processes both using the same circuitry with the same automatic urgency. Here is what all of this means. The brain did not develop face detection to create religion. It developed face detection to find predators, allies, and threats in a world where missing a real face could end your life. Religion was the side effect, and it was a very successful one. Every culture that developed supernatural belief also developed something else. Social cohesion, shared moral frameworks, explanations for random catastrophe that made chaos feel intentional and therefore potentially manageable. If the flood happened because something wanted it to happen, then something could be appeased. If the drought had a cause with a face, you could negotiate with it. A group of humans who believed invisible agents were watching them behaved differently than a group who didn't. They cooperated more carefully. They policed each other's behavior. They maintained rituals that kept the group synchronized. They built structures, literal and social, around the invisible presence they all agreed was there. The cognitive glitch became a cultural technology, not because it was true, because it worked, and the original hardware has never been updated. The same face detection circuitry your ancestors used to feel the presence of something in the dark is running in your visual cortex right now. It fires in the same old way. It finds the same old patterns. The next time you see a face in a cloud, a shadow on the wall, a shape in the dark at the edge of your vision that your eye catches before your brain catches up, that is not your imagination. That is 40,000 years of evolution running exactly as designed. Your ancestors saw faces in the fire every night. They named them. They prayed to them. They built the oldest structures in human history around them. The fire is gone. The face is still there.